Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to your March forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh, and it's so great to see everybody. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for being patient. I'm getting over a cold, so if my voice sounds a little congested, that's what's going on. All right, this is going to help you navigate the month ahead, helping you see highlights and challenges and everything in between. As always, I like to begin here with channeled messages. So while I was meditating on your sign, I was shown basically the environment around you, and then almost like a plant or a tree, how all of that feeds into your body. And it's a reminder that it's not just what we put into our body as far as like food, it's also the people that we spend time with, the activities that we engage in, the media that we consume. All of these things enter our mind, body, and spirit, and basically make up our general health and well-being. Just to geek out for a second, this reminds me of something from the last century, around 60s or 70s, when computing was starting to really, take hold. There was an acronym, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, and it basically reminded everyone that the program is only as good as what you set up and basically allow it to ingest. So if you put a lot of nonsense into the program, that's what you're going to get. And when you think of what we're putting into our body, we have to be discerning. We have to have filters. If we put or surround ourselves with this sort of garbage, then it kind of like clogs up your third eye, your ability to think well, and also just be at your optimum sort of operating potential. So this month, why don't we focus on detoxification? Let's put the best quality of people, of experiences, and of course, yes, as you put in food and other things, all of the different things that we digest, let's make sure that it's the best possible quality at that given time. And I think that's going to help set you up in a nice firm foundation, because I'm actually also being shown as we're talking through all of this, like the two bookends in tarot, the Fool and the World. And so we really want to make sure that the doors are open at both ends so that you can expand and see the opportunities. And let's clear out the cobwebs. Let's clear out the garbage. Let's take out the garbage this month so that you can be at your optimum. Because I feel like there could be something that's coming to a close, or really a pinnacle like the World card, and then a brand new experience. So this is going to ensure that you're not going to miss out on something. The clearer your energy is, the clearer your vision is, the better you can take advantage of these opportunities that are knocking. And with that being said, let's shuffle the cards and see what is coming forth in the month ahead. Close your eyes, focus on an image of the rising sun, feel that connection to source, and let's call in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters as you create a circle of light around your body. All right, let's begin. All right, let's begin with your catalyst card. You received the River, and I think this is a really nice connection to like the Six of Swords in tarot. And what I'm getting when I look at this is basically to focus on iterative movement. So often we wait for like the quote unquote perfect moment to make something happen. And this is a sort of reminder from Spirit that Success is very iterative. It's one step at a time, sometimes 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And for some of you, releasing the perfectionist tendencies could be a very liberating thing. This is also about perhaps deciding to move on, move forward, or even get some distance from something in order to get perspective or clarity. Because the Six of Swords, also like Eight of Cups, will allow us to do that. And finally, because it is a river, it's about flowing. And so if you're being drawn in a certain direction and the energy is naturally flowing there, you want to follow that energetic flow. If you're feeling that there is some sort of resistance or it's more difficult to create movement, also observe that and don't push if something isn't naturally flowing in that direction. All right, just looking at the cards here, let's see if there's an overarching trend that we might notice. Coming out of your shell here at the center with the Hermit, necessary changes with the Tower and the Devil. We'll get more into that in a second. I do love that we have 2 very positive cards in the near future and outcome. So it looks like relationships are starting to kind of take an uptick here. There's some surprises and revelation that is coming through, possibly when we're looking at money, work, or time and energy. So that's going to be our first focus. Then we'll look at the relationship stuff. Let's begin with the Hermit at the center. So when this card is reversed, it's typically an encouragement from Spirit to come out of your shell. Again, we were talking about the perfectionist tendencies. I think it has to do with the Hermit as well. There is a point where you've learned everything you need to. You've done things to the point of near perfection, and it's saying, when is enough enough? If we take a look at the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, the Hermit also is a light in the dark. So there may be situations going on in your life right now where if you're not the one that speaks up, who will? And there is some resistance to that because it's nice to sometimes just blend in, right? And kind of like hope that everything will sort itself out. But there is leadership with the Hermit. So you have a choice. There's always free will. There's always a choice. But it's interesting because crossing that card is the Devil. And the Devil can represent something that isn't sitting well with you, may not be conducive to the general good or well-being. And there needs to be a change because we have the Tower here. So follow your instincts. And if you can make that change happen, now may be exactly the time that you want to step in and be that sort of agent of change. Now, the Devil can also represent a realization because in the environment here, we have the Eight of Swords. Often this is a blindfolded card, and it feels to me like the blindfolds are coming off, especially with the Hermit at the center reversed. It's saying, you got to look at this. So something is coming to your attention. The Devil can actually be a person in your life that is showing their true colors. It can be an experience or an opportunity that was built up to be one thing, but when you shine that torch on it, it actually is something different. Here's the good news. Because the Hermit is at the center, the Hermit is nobody's fool, and the Hermit can see through the energy of the Devil. And so really trust your instincts, trust what you see, and when you're faced with something that wasn't what you thought it was originally, embrace the knowledge, use it as a source of empowerment, and decide what to do about it. So there's just this sort of realization that something has to change. You can pick the when and the how, but it feels like the fact that something needs to change has already been established. There's some other things that we can associate with the Devil energy. This is also a reminder that there are people in your life that have a difficult time perhaps loving, accepting, or embracing you unconditionally. And if you are feeling that people have to put certain constraints or conditions on what they expect or what they want from you in order to accept you, that you deserve better. And so basically we're looking at, this is one of the areas where detoxification can exist. So people that put conditions on you, people that are less than honest with you, situations that really just don't stack up to what they were supposed to be, all of these things, it's a great time to release. So you get to decide when, how, etc. But it feels like the Devil is coming through to help you see that, to release it, and to move on to something bigger, better, and brighter. All right, let's take a look at the deep past. It's really interesting because time and again this month I've been seeing the Four of Swords in reverse. If we look at this in the upright position, we see someone who is resting peacefully, but when the card is reversed, it can indicate a schedule that is not conducive to rest, to meditation, to the ability just to slow down long enough to see what's going on. So don't rush, and definitely make sure that you're getting the quality, the quantity, and also just the sort of type of sleep and rest that you require to be the best that you can be. If anybody in your life is pushing you to a point of exhaustion, it's time to raise your hand, to speak up, and to put down a sort of line in the sand to make sure that that doesn't exist. We want to be mindful of this too, because this can lead to burnout. The tower can be your body being pushed to the limit. We don't want that to happen. Now, this is in the past. This is deep past. This is recent past. So for some of you, you've already made the necessary changes in your life. But if you haven't, the tower is coming through right now to say, it's time. This is the detoxification that I was picking up on. So now is the perfect time to rearrange, to reorganize, to reconfigure things so that you can be healthier and happier and have the firm foundation that you deserve. Especially when we see these two cards back to back, it's okay to cut yourself free of that web, to make a necessary move or shift. You'll be glad that you did. Tower moments can be positive. We do see like the Eye of Providence here, or Ra's eye at the very top, and this represents being able to see through a situation, through the dust, and saying, oh, that's why that happened. So sometimes there can be an uncomfortable event in our life. Let's say a tower can be the loss of a job or a breakup, or even a sort of wake-up call with your health. And you have a close call, but you get through it, and you're clearer on the other side. And it's because you know what you don't want, and you know you don't want to experience that again. So for those of you that have come through the tower with clarity, good for you. For those of you that see something crumbling in the distance, don't ignore it. That's what the Hermit and the Devil were all about. So I feel like you're either on one end or the other. And if you see something that is about to crumble, be proactive and move in a new direction. This can represent deciding to quit, deciding to break up, deciding to move. It could be something that confounds people around you. They want to keep you in their web. They want to keep you where you're at. But it's okay for you to make the necessary shift or move. You know, I'm happy as a reader to see some of the challenging cards either in the past or right here in the present, because it shows me that where you're headed will be sort of like clearer, cleaner, and more stable. So it's better to deal with the changes up front, and that's what we're seeing here. And the crowning card is where you are going to focus on creating something that's more healthy in your life here. So we have the Prince or the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Pentacles are time, energy, and money, and it's the investment of these things in your life. The reversal of this, you're taking a step back and you're saying, does this still feed or serve or nurture me? Because we were talking about garbage in, garbage out. So wherever there are things that don't lift you up, nurture you, nourish you, it's time to do the pruning there. If you notice that there's something lacking, like you're working too much, or you don't have enough time, or you're feeling unhealthy or unhappy, now is the time to take a step back and either feed yourself or ask for the assistance or the support that you need. Then and only then is it time to move forward. And I do like that we have an ox or a bull on this card, because that represents that things can start to recover, to take off in a positive trajectory much faster once you do the work. If you look at stock markets, a bull market is one that goes forward and is moving up. A bear market is one that retracts. So taking a step back doesn't mean that you're going backwards. It means that you're recalibrating, that you're clearing things out, and in the long run, you're going to benefit from this recalibration, okay? But there is a moment right here where you have to speak up if something isn't where you want it to be. And we talked at great length about the flow. Things should flow naturally, and if you feel like you're constantly fighting that flow, then you know what to do. All right, we have two cards harmoniously connected here, 10 of Cups, 2 of Cups. For those of you that are looking to either enrich an existing relationship or find one, these are very, very positive. Before I move on to the 10 of Cups, look who joined us in the background. We have Apollo. I thought you would enjoy that for a second. So, all right, let's get back to work. I'll leave him here in the corner. All right, the 10 of Cups. This is love, friendship, community. This is also your ability to be very magnetic and really bring in these opportunities right now by making some of the changes that we talked about. So when you're able and willing and able, I should say, to step forward, to speak up against something that doesn't feel right, to clean up whatever's not working here, then you've made room. So just like a rose bush that needs to be pruned, once that pruning happens, new growth sprouts out. And for some of you, it's coming forth in this 10 of Cups energy. So new friendship, new opportunities, new connections. And that's also why the Hermit in reverse is inviting you to come out of your shell just a little bit, okay? Even if you went through something challenging before, that was one person or one moment in time, it does not necessarily indicate a trend that has to continue, okay? This is a time where, for those of you that are looking to grow your business, there are people that are more receptive to whatever product or service that you might be putting out there. This is a good time for that. This is a great time, again, if you want to deepen a relationship. It typically indicates something of a serious nature. Again, positive, like commitment. So sometimes, again, a person or a place or an activity needs to exit out so that you can really embrace this upgrade, which is the 10 of Cups. Let's take a look at you here. We have the 6 of Pentacles, and I feel like this is an offshoot of that Knight that was reversed. So typically you would see someone holding scales in this card. So if this card is reversed, ostensibly that scale is still a little bit out of balance. And so what we can look at the 6 of Pentacles as sort of like a call to action is basically to be discerning. So say no when you don't want something, say yes when you do, and basically do a little bit of an internal audit and think, how are these things feeding, nurturing, or affecting me? And likewise, how much of an impact am I making on others? So using your discernment, using the sort of virtual scales there to figure that out. What I love about this is it represents the turn of the tide, where if there was a lack, like not enough time, energy, or money, we start to see it getting better. We start to see growth. We start to see equilibrium. It may not all happen this month, but you are absolutely on the precipice of that. And for those of you that have started to experience it, continue to be patient and diligent, and you'll start to see more, okay? So love what we're seeing there. And anytime there's scales too, it can just be about reallocating and reorganizing and saying, more of this, less of that. In the environment, we have one of the awakening cards. So 8 of Swords is typically a prison of thought, typically a blindfolded card. In this one, we see someone that is not blindfolded, but is kind of like subject to the energy of the devil that we saw here previously, strings attached. So since the blindfolds are off and the strings are apparent on this card, what it's telling me is this is completely avoidable. There is something that is going on in the environment where you can see either who's pulling the strings, or you can see that before you commit to a contract or an opportunity that you want to raise your hands and say, wait a second. The only way I'm going to do this is if we cut this piece out. So no strings attached. We want to make sure that this is something where it's like equal and positive, and if there's something that you see from a mile away that you don't agree with, listen to your intuition on that, okay? Now, the other thing with the 8 of Swords, and I might pull the traditional card in just a moment, is I talked a little bit about the prison of thought. So there's an encouragement with this not to limit what's possible, because what we saw here in the near future is that there's a lot of people that can see you as someone who's valuable. In fact, there may be groups large and small that are ready to support you, but if you can't see it, they have a hard time showing up, and there may be a little bit of friction when they do. So as we look at the traditional card, this is a moment to ask yourself, why not to see what's possible. Let's give it a shot. If someone else can see it, why can't I do it? A lot of times there is just an internal program that needs to be released, a program from childhood, a program from an old boss or a friend that didn't have the imagination, may not have had the tools to sort of support you in the way that you needed to be, but you showed up today and I'm helping you see through the program. So let's hit reboot, and why don't you rewrite it and say, why not? How can I do this? And then start to write a new path, a new page for yourself, okay? So we're releasing basically this old program or this old limit. And once you do that, we have the Four of Cups here, which can represent a blessing in disguise, a hidden opportunity. It's like when you're trying to find your glasses or your phone and you realize your coat was covering it up and you're like, oh, there it is. It was there all along. And that's kind of what this card represents. So you can see this cup floating behind the person. They're focusing only on what they can see, not on what might be. So just because it's not here or hasn't been done, it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It just means it hasn't been done yet. So one of the keys to success this month is to experiment, to try things, to push the boundaries of what's possible, to also ask why not to other people when they say no. Have you considered this? Are you sure? Have you looked at this? So you can always be the curious one. You can come forth with research and new ideas. This is both to yourself and to others because you have the capacity to accomplish something if you just try. And that's what we see there. And then the outcome is a celebratory card. So both of these could be celebrations, big and small. This can be the ability to connect with a group, a larger group, or one-on-one. This can be a deepening of an existing relationship. Two of Cups, love, partnership, and opportunity. I love that they're sitting atop of a lotus blossom. This is basically someone that you've gone through thick and thin, because the lotus blossom has to push through the layers of the mud in order to blossom. So if you're able to get through challenging situations, murky situations, and you still have someone there who has your back, this could stand the test of time. Basically, what we're seeing here is a nice payoff for all of the work that's done here, for speaking up when something isn't right, for making necessary changes, for prioritizing your health and well-being, for focusing on personal development. You've done the work, and then it starts to pay off in a big way here, okay? Let's go ahead and expand this. We're going to go a little bit deeper into health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll start off first with health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. The oracle card for health is this beautiful Dharma unfolding. If we take a look at the caption on this, it says, remember that you're on a path. Take one step at a time to happiness. And basically do the right thing, right? This is back to the center cards where we have the Hermit and the Devil. Speak up. Be the light in the dark, and that is what the hermit ultimately has to sort of step up and be. This is also encouraging you to not focus so much again on the perfectionism, just taking one step at a time, iterative process towards being who you need to be. All right, let's take a look at the cards and see what else these kind of equate to in a health perspective. The Devil is a lot different in a health spread. This represents something that you need to release. Maybe it's drinking too much caffeine, eating too much sugar, not exercising enough. Each of us have our own vice or something that we know we need to attend to, but like the Eight of Swords, we're kind of ignoring it and sweeping it under the rug. So there's a call to action to take care of yourself, to avoid this, or for those of you that have already been through the tower, to remedy that. The good news is it's in the past or it's avoidable. And as we look at the outcome, we have celebratory or happy cards. So the sooner you make the change, the better. And that's key. It may be time to move up or out of a situation that is not conducive to being able to focus. So this can represent like construction. We just had fires in LA. It can represent something like that. So if there is, any sort of flood or fire or natural disaster or something where it kind of like takes your sense of being safe and feeling at home out of the equation, pay attention to that. The other thing that the tower can represent is necessary change or significant shift. And sometimes it's a bit of an awakening. So when I'm looking at the Eye of Ra at the very top here, or Eye of Horus, it's basically saying, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. It's come to the surface. So this is very much a month to focus on following that aha moment, that light bulb. And I feel like that's also what the Hermit's holding, is sort of like, that's what I need to focus on right now. Sometimes, when we lose a parent, or when something significant happens, it takes away all of the sort of petty concerns, and you finally understand what matters. So often we need to go through a Devil or Tower moment in order to get to the Star, which is after the Tower. So I feel like you're getting primed up for that Star moment. Just make the necessary changes first. If you are neglecting sleep, now is the time to really make sure that doesn't continue. Less is more. So I think pulling back on your any of your sort of activities, extracurricular sort of obligations, that would be really wise at this moment in time. It could be time to get your eyes or ears checked. Eight of Swords represents those sorts of things, especially if you haven't done it in a while. Also, if you've been ignoring something, better to ask now, better to get informed, because the sooner you deal with something, the better. Finding better balance in your life, and also making sure when we're looking at Pentacles that when it comes to diet, particularly small things that we don't always pay attention to, like mineral consumption and things of that nature, that you're getting everything that you need. This is a conversation best had with a health professional, someone that understands diet, exercise, etc., but that's coming forth. Otherwise, the rest of the spread is pretty good. I think it has to do with environment, or a vice, or not ignoring something. Those are the big things that came forth here. Okay, let's go ahead now and expand the forecast even further. Now we're going to go into wealth, resources, life purpose, and career. We have a leadership card coming forth. Just like I was talking about with the Hermit, it might be time to come out of the shadows and light the way. So we have Zeus here, which would represent like the Emperor, basically, in the major arcana. And being the agent of change, being the voice of reason, it's important. And standing up to someone like this that wants to kind of try to control or influence someone else, it can be a little challenging at first, but it's worth it. Stick to the facts. That's what's going to help you out here. We're going to dig much deeper into this, take a look at 5 subcategories to help all of you out. Let's do it now. All right, so we'll look at those who are currently employed, those who have their own business, those that are seeking a job, students, and then finally, retirees. All right, let's start off first with those who have a traditional job. We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, a change of priorities, a change of value, something that once was enough isn't now, or potentially you doing, going above and beyond but not getting enough is no longer sufficient. Now is the time to speak up for whatever it is that's not sort of balanced, that is imbalanced, because that's basically what the Six of Pentacles represents. You're righting that wrong, and you're going to be the voice here again of leadership, of change, of movement. In existing jobs, be very mindful of someone that may try to push you to do something that's either not right on a moral level, on an emotional level, or legal. Obviously, any of these things you want to stand up and just say no. There could be environments that, just like I said, are not conducive to concentrating, working, etc. The cool thing here is I think if you speak up, you have a chance of possibly making a change. So I think it's worth communicating that. One of your strongest traits this month is teamwork. 10 of Cups, 2 of Cups. Groups large and small, you have the ability to stand out as someone who can counter this, okay? That's the challenge, though. And I have to be honest, when I see a card like the Devil, if there is a promise or a contract that's put in front of you, be very discerning. And if someone makes a promise but doesn't get it in writing, you want to get something in writing, because typically a Devil promise would just not come through. People will change the terms later, etc. So be very mindful, be very careful. And then also in the long run, if people continually don't come through on their end of the bargain, there's better things that you can put your time and energy into, okay? You do have a chance to make a change this month, so let's lean on that. but get it in writing and make sure you agree to it and agree with it before moving forward. Okay, and you might just want to change focus. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse can also be a necessary change. Moving along to entrepreneurs, those who own their own company, we have success here, Six of Wands. So keep doing what you're doing and lead by example, because this stands almost in sharp contrast to this. And there may be a competitor that's taking a shortcut, but you've done the research, you've done the work. This isn't going to help them in the long run. So even when someone else can get an easy win, you want to do the right thing. And you also want to do the right thing like through the lens of history. So if there are policies that feel wrong, if there are things that just aren't like upholding the standards that you have, don't do them, especially if you have your own company. So lead by example. That's the main takeaway here. And it will serve you not only now, but in the future. The Six of Wands here also, we don't see anybody else in the picture. Sometimes you see a person on a horse, a bunch of people around them. In this one, it really is about the leadership and the sort of like front runner energy of this. So it can be a little bit lonely when you're doing the right thing and you're setting the tone and setting the tempo, but it's invariably always very positive. Looking at some challenges, it may be time to either grow or shrink the company. The Tower is a necessary growth or, again, change in structure. If there's someone in your organization that isn't doing something right, it has to be fixed now. If you need to come clear on something, do it now, because devil energy has a way of festering. So whatever the issue is, remedy that. And if there's something that is overdue, again, growth or contraction, the sooner you do that, the better you'll be financially and energetically. And it does feel like some of you are just pulled too thin, because the Four of Swords can be someone that's working too many hours. Again, this can be a little bit of a workaholic, and there comes a point where it's not sustainable. So making sure that you have the right size team, whether bigger or smaller, that's the challenge and opportunity. What I love is good word of mouth, good customer loyalty, a lot of passion. Keep up that, keep up the integrity, and you'll continue to see growth and movement. For job seekers, we have the Knight or Prince of Wands coming forth, and I'm really focusing on the ability to feel a mutual spark. You either feel it or you don't. So one thing that's really important here is sometimes we have to apply for a job that we don't want because it's the most available one. But whenever you have a chance to really go for something that sparks your interest and your passion, you have such a better chance of getting that. So really fix your focus on the things that light you up. And I'm saying that because that's what we've got here. And as a former hiring manager, I realize now some of it was probably psychic ability, but I could look through a stack of resumes or submissions, and there were things that would just stand out. And I would think, I want to know more about this person. So think about ways that you could shine, whether it's through, again, a passion project, a prototype, a skill that no one else has. Make sure that's being highlighted and it's easy for the hiring manager to see. Because we're looking at a card that has a mode of transportation on it, this may be your next job could be something that requires a little bit of travel, and you may need to go out of even your comfort zone. So this is traveling out of the normal areas that you would look in, the normal industries that you would look in. Network, talk to people that you know. 10 of Cups and 2 of Cups. This is friends and family. This is possibly a partner or a brother or sister. These are close connections. So I feel like it's like one step away from somebody that you know. There may be something that isn't advertised. That's why word of mouth is the key here. I like what I see here with respect to 6 of Pentacles. Would I love it if it was 7, 8, or 9? Yes, but this is more than enough. You might be able to eke out a little bit more with the 6 of Pentacles, but not a lot. So it feels like there's a fair offer on the table. I think the thing to be mindful of is this. So is there something that you don't agree to? Like it could be overtime. It could be the amount of travel, because I picked up on that. Don't commit if you don't feel it, okay? And if there's something that you're worried about, have the frank conversation, the honest conversation now before it becomes an issue. There could also be something in the fine print that you don't see, so get a second set of eyes on it whenever the devil energy is there. The other thing that I'm seeing is there could be morale issues or recent restructuring. You could be hired to clean up a mess too. So just make sure you're ready to take that on. I've done that before and it's not easy when you're cleaning up someone else's mess, okay? But can you find something? Yes, that's the good news. Moving on to students, we have the King of Swords. Really good energy, actually. This is a month where your communication skills are going to be put to the test. Things are moving at a pretty rapid clip, rapid pace. Take care of yourself. That's the main thing. I just feel like fatigue could be setting in a little bit, okay? But you have a chance to also surprise people, possibly yourself, with your voice. And when I say your voice, it's not just your spoken voice, but like your point of view. It's really valuable. It's very needed right now. Think about what you want to do in the long run and how you want to affect the world at large. Your voice, your vision, your impact, it's a necessary piece right now. Some of you may want to fight this. This is the mess. This is the establishment. And this is a strong counter to that. So communication skills would be fantastic. Learning more. And again, it's whether it's how to negotiate, how to have a sort of a conversation about difficult things. So speech and rhetoric. It's not just creative writing. It's actually, or creative sort of like communication. It's more like practical communication. So public speaking. I feel like speech and rhetoric is a big piece of this. So if you're willing and ready to do that, now is the time. There could be some challenges because social spheres are kind of like lighting up here. Family and friendships and dating. So be mindful of that and try to juggle accordingly. Finally, moving on to retirees, we have a Page of Wands in reverse. Very introspective. And this is curiosity personified. So some of you are, it's almost existential. You're wondering like, what is it all about? So maybe some of you want to go back to school or learn something new, or kind of go with the flow and see where it takes you. So maybe there's some travel or some new experiences. It's a very youthful card for retirees. So I think you might be returning to something that you've always wanted to do. Look at your bucket list or make a bucket list and think, what here is really playful? What's really inspiring? And that's what I would lean into. And as I just said with students, relationships, it's a nice segue, are very much a part of this spread. So meeting new people, getting out there, connecting with the community, absolutely a part of this. Let's move on to love because we're already there. And let's see what the oracle card is here. So it came through reverse, but let's read it. It says spiritual awakening, interconnectedness, understanding the inner workings, and with this card in reverse, some of you are starting to understand just how connected you are to people. And you might even be seeing through the sort of like surface relationship, and you're like, oh, this person came through to teach me something. Once you see the lesson, then you can decide if you want to remain in that relationship, and you can also avoid some of the pitfalls. And we'll talk more about the devil as we go into these 3 categories that we're going to look at next. All right, so we'll take a look at those of you in a current relationship. Then we'll look at those that are looking for love. And finally, those that are single and happy. All right, we're going to start off first with those that are presently in a relationship. We have the Page of Swords, and it is reversed. Speaking up, speaking out, speaking often, but also holding space for the other partner to do the same. So active listening is just as important as saying what you need to say. Let's do a little bit of both. This can be critical, but of all of the court cards in the suit of swords that might be reversed, it's the most constructively critical. So if you have something to say and there is like room for improvement, always start with something positive. Always think about how it might feel if you were receiving this, and make sure that you're putting some empathy into the communication. Constructive criticism is fine. Also just checking in and saying, how are you? This can be an inquisitive card. So just say, oh, it's been a minute since we've talked. Is everything okay? What can I do for you? These sorts of check-ins, these sorts of questions can really help foster trust and a deepening of the relationship. In existing relationships, honesty is everything. The devil comes through basically as a reminder that if there's something that's being kind of held underneath the surface, it's going to find its way out anyway. So be honest, be truthful, come forward if something needs to be said. Better now than later. This is also a reminder to look at someone with the same sort of compassion that you would want to receive. So again, unconditional love, kindness and empathy, all of these things basically counter the devil energy. And since it's not the center card, it's just touching the other cards, it is mutable, it is avoidable, okay? And again, I think just speaking out against something that doesn't feel right or sound right, or just saying, hey, wait a second, are you sure we want to do this? Again, being that voice of reason can be very helpful. Try not to do anything if you're tired with the Four of Swords in reverse. A lack of sleep, a lack of rest, or sort of like clear thinking, it's nobody's friend. So being mindful of that. And again, there could just be some distractions going on in the environment. So this could actually, I'm seeing that it could be separate from the two of you. It could be a neighbor. If you have an extended family and they're staying with you, it could be like an in-law. Trying to separate yourself from the distraction and just have the one-on-one time will be key. There's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel on this, not only because we have a card that shows the light, be the light, but we have that beautiful light energy here and then 10 of Cups and 2 of Cups. The two of you can sort out anything here that's going on. It's not as big as it feels. That's what I actually get. It could definitely be made. You could make a mountain out of a molehill, but you don't have to. Part of it could just be misunderstanding, by the way. 8 of Swords is just someone that's not hearing or seeing the same thing, which is why we talked earlier about the importance of holding space, asking questions, making sure that you're on the same page at the same time. What I do love, though, is the ability to take something deeper, and if you go through a challenge and come out of it, you can withstand any storm, and that's something that's great, okay? So ask a question, never assume. That's the key takeaway as I go through the spread here. For those that are looking for love, we have the King of Pentacles coming through, showing, yes, this is a great time to get out there, to mix and to mingle. Not only that, I mean, it's in the flow of this 10 of Cups and 2 of Cups. So there could be a wonderful earth sign coming forth. This could also just be you showing up as being very grounded, very ready. And when we're looking at a potential love interest, King of Pentacles is someone who's ready to go the distance. Like, there may be a ready-made family. There may be someone that really wants to just sort of have that sense of community and family. And it could be either or, by the way. The 10 of Cups is someone who wants the big family, but the 2 of Cups is we are the family. So be clear on what it is that you're looking for, because you have a great chance to manifest one, both, either. So it really depends on what you're looking for. I love these two cards because it shows me you've done some of the work, they've done some of the work. The challenge is, though, if you're looking for love, could be that some of you are on a rebound. There could be limiting thoughts or ideas like, I have bad luck in, relationships. When you say it and think it, then it starts to manifest. So open yourself up to being bountiful in this moment, to being able to call in someone who is equally ready as you are, because I think it can happen. But there's a little fear, doubt, or uncertainty here. There could be some shyness as well. So just putting yourself out there and not worrying too much about what others think. If someone isn't ready to give you what you want, wait. Because we have two options here. Wait for the one that is. There could be someone who just isn't there yet. And if you're not there yet, don't rush, okay? This person will be ready when you're ready. You have to make sure that you're in that energy right now, okay? Moving on to those who are single and happy. We have King of Wands coming through. I love that there's a unicorn on this. This is a great time to follow your heart. This is very passion-oriented. So much like we were looking at with the retirees, same sort of energy here. Do something that really lights you up and makes you passionate. I feel like there still is a lot of energy around community building. So getting out there and making some new friends, some new connections, or giving back to the community. All right? Now let's focus on the Destiny card. It's no surprise here that we have one that is highlighting personal responsibility. Let's read the caption. It says, take responsibility for your choices, This is an opportunity for inner growth. This is why I said earlier, for those of you that might be going through this sort of devil moment, it's kind of interesting too, by the way, as I'm looking at these two, it's a mirroring sort of image here. But whatever this is, it is a growth opportunity. So being honest with yourself, being honest with your partner, it can actually create a breakthrough and a deeper connection. And this is also parents, friends, coworkers, any sort of deep relationship. When you show your true colors and you put yourself out there, you have a chance, if they're willing to meet you, to really have someone who sees you, understands you, and again, can go the distance. So we're kind of back at the beginning with that. It's never worth fearing that rejection and hiding something just because you're afraid of the rejection, because when that happens, you're kind of like, there's two things that suffer. One, you don't know what's possible with the other person, and they don't know what's possible. So it's worth the risk for a deeper, more honest relationship. That's what I'm picking up on with that. All right, let's look at one final question that you might have for me. It can be anything that we haven't yet touched upon. Go ahead and formulate that question. We'll give the cards a shuffle, and we'll see what Spirit has to say. Wow, beautiful energy coming forth. So we have Judgment, also known as Eon, on this card. And this is the penultimate card in the Major Arcana. So you're like one step away from a breakthrough. And all that really is necessary in Judgment is acceptance and almost like surrender, right? Yes, let's do this. Of course, this is the choice. It may be difficult to make. It may confound others, but it feels right to me. As a yes or no, it's a yes, but with that caveat that only you can be the one that states that you're ready and takes the first step. You've already decided, but you haven't accepted possibly yet. Once the acceptance happens, the gates open up. This is often seen as a rebirth, reinvention, a phoenix rising. So if there was a setback, if someone closed a door, that was so that when it opened this time, you would appreciate it. This is an angelic card, and it's coming through saying, now is the time. You've got this. So we're ending on a really positive note with Judgment. Listen to your intuition, take that leap of faith. And it's a time, I recently said this in a daily, don't rinse and repeat. Try something new. It's setting you up for the eventual fool that will happen. So take a calculated leap of faith and go for it. This is your moment to shine. All right? What a powerful reading. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your month ahead here. I do really appreciate it. I know you have a lot of choices here on YouTube, so thank you in advance. If you found this helpful, do me a favor. Subscribe if you're new or you've been a long-time viewer and you haven't subscribed. It really helps. Like the video, hit the bell icon and choose all. And then also you can give me a follow on other social media platforms. It's the same handle as it is on YouTube, Nicholas Ashbaugh. On Blue Sky, I'm nicholasashbaugh.com. That's also my website. You can get all the official links there as well. If you'd like to give back a little bit extra, you can do it through super stickers and super chats. I try to heart all of the super stickers that I see here. And you can also become a sustaining member. That's a great way to help me with future projects like podcasts. And by the way, you can check out my current podcast, if I have the graphic here, on my main channel page, and just click on podcasts. And that's everything. Thank you so much for being the absolute best part of what I do here on YouTube. I know you have a lot of choices, and I appreciate that you spent some time here. Oh, one last note. Just remember, I don't give any private readings. So if you see anybody messaging you or trying to give a private reading, you know that's not me. All right. Take care of yourselves. Be well, and I'll see you soon.